Hey! In today's video, I'll be doing the Booktube newbie tag. This tag was originally created by a Brenda C in 2014, and if it's the first time you're hearing about this, it's basically an opportunity for a new book YouTuber to introduce themselves. There's a set of a few questions, some of which I've adjusted or taken away or added, all with the purpose of talking about Booktube. Usually this would be people's first video on YouTube, but I watched Olivia's Booktube newbie tag, who I took a couple questions from as well, and she had some videos uploaded to her channel and did the tag later, and I believe it was because she wanted videos to be on her channel beforehand, which I thought was a great idea because it gives an idea of what type of videos that person would be uploading on their channel. So let's get straight into it. The first question is, why did you start this channel? And it's really just a very simple reason that I'm sure is a lot of other people's reasons as well, is that I just wanted to talk about books. Even though I've spoken about other stuff like the music I like, I just really wanted to talk about books. I watch a ton of book YouTubers and enjoy their videos, and I follow a handful of book Instagrammers, and I love just being surrounded by books. To my own detriment though, because then I start adding to my never-ending TBR and I end up side-eyeing my bookshelves, but it's a good problem to have. The next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I don't know about you, but this one sounds like an interview question, like what can you bring to this company? And it's like, I don't know, attendance maybe? But anyway, I'm going to combine this with the following question, which is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? These two questions seem intertwined and I can answer them at the same time. So as I've said before, my main intention of creating this channel was to talk about books. I don't know what the future will hold, if I'll pivot into something else or include other stuff or not, but right now books are the reason why I want to upload. As you may have already noticed though, I also play video games, which is the current format in which I want this channel to be. Both books and video games seem like a perfect fit to me, especially since the 2026 gaming year looks packed with a lot of good new ones, but also because I've been a long time gamer since I was very young. I don't think I'll ever play a scary game though, even though there's some good scary games like Fatal Frame that's getting a remake and is so nostalgic to me, but I don't think I can do it. But I am eyeing this game called Anno Mutationem, and it's a game rendered in the pixel art form, and one thing I love is pixel art, so you might be seeing that soon. I also enjoy music, as I mentioned before, and you'll find that a lot of my videos have lo-fi type music. Lo-fi music is also the music I tend to choose to read with as well, and it really sets the focus mood and tone. The next question is, why do you love reading? And it's a bit hard to pinpoint just one reason why I love reading, but I love that you can open a fantasy book and dive into a whole new world, a literary fiction book and be enamored by the writing, an international book different from the West and find different perspectives. It's one of those art forms that sort of tickles my brain. I think Robin Williams said it best in Dead Poets Society.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
I'm going to combine two questions in the next question as well. What book or series got you into reading, and when did you start reading? I started reading when I was around 11 or 12, and the first book that got me into reading was book 1 of the His Dark Materials trilogy titled Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. This is a story about a girl named Lyra who discovers a whole new world outside of her college after her father discovers a fantastical element called dust when he comes back from his expedition. From there, she goes on an adventure after her friend Roger goes missing and she discovers new people and new places. Philip Pullman is an English writer, and as I mentioned, this is part of a trilogy where the other two books are called The Subtle Knife and The Amber Spyglass. I think the adventure aspect got me interested more than anything. It was taking me into a new world, as I said, with new people, and it was written so beautifully and imaginatively that I was hooked. Philip Pullman actually released and completed a spin-off for continuation, I guess you could say, of this series, with a 3 new book series called The Book of Dust trilogy, starting with La Belle Sauvage, first published in 2017, The Secret Commonwealth published in 2019, and ending with The Rosefield published just last year. Unfortunately, I was highly disappointed with the Book of Dust trilogy, and so I don't recommend it, but I'm glad I was able to complete it last year, since I try not to read books in a series unless I know it'll be completed or is complete, unless I truly can't help myself. The next question is, what challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Initially, it was just talking that was the hardest thing to overcome. When I started with my first video, I was beyond nervous. For some reason, my brain seems to process this the same way as public speaking, and I am an extremely nervous public speaker. I actually end up not being able to breathe properly. Even though it's only been like a month, I feel like I've gotten a little better with my nerves. I seem to be able to edit better as well compared to my first video. Even as I speak right now, I'm actively trying to rewire my brain into thinking I'm fine. But I'll be fine. Luckily, being a faceless YouTuber helps a lot. The other challenge I have is working on a really old laptop. Sometimes my editing software freezes or doesn't seem to register things, or as I more recently discovered, doesn't allow me to use text in my videos without causing issues. I can mainly only use it for thumbnails, but I'm hoping to get a new laptop in the near future, so hopefully all of that will be fixed with updated software. Alright, so the next question is, what book genres do you read the most? I think my most read genres would be general, literary, and contemporary fiction. My next most read would be mystery, thrillers, and fantasy. Some of my favorite authors are Kigo Higashino, Susan Barker, Kine Minato, and Uketsu. I feel like I could name more if it weren't for the fact that I had only read one book from other authors, but just know there are others I enjoy. But my absolute favorite author has always been the one and only Haruki Murakami. I hope to also talk about future books I'm interested in on this channel. The next question is, what book genres do you read the least? Non-fiction and romance are my least read genres, I would say. Non-fiction more than romance, but I do have Sidney Poitier's autobiography called The Measure of a Man, Jackie Chan's autobiography called Never Grow Up, some non-fiction about Cleopatra and Antony and Cleopatra, as well as One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar Al-Akkad, which I read a couple pages of and I'm fearful to read any further, but I just know an it's important read. But yeah, non-fiction and romance are my least read genres. I don't even remember the last time I did read a non-fiction, but I do dabble in romance here and there. I'm just not pulled in by it. I tend to enjoy romance in other genres more so than romance in the romance genre, if that makes sense. The next question is, what kind of genre would you like to try reading? And I really want to try and read manga. I actually bought my first manga called Yona of the Dawn a while ago and still haven't read it. I was still trying to figure out which end to start from, to be honest. I randomly saw it on a YouTuber's video and bought it on a whim, but afterwards I realized I could have probably bought Sakura the Card Captor, which is one of my all-time favorite animes, and it's adapted from manga, or even Sailor Moon would have been a good choice. But anyway, Yona of the Dawn is the one I got, and yeah, I still haven't picked it up. I'm feeling the interest to pick it up brewing though. I feel like it's in my near future soon, so we'll see. The next question is, what is a book that made you cry? And the ones I can think of now are Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. This is the very first book I've cried at in my entire life. Murakami just knows how to write heartache really well. He's a great writer and storyteller in general. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I feel like people focus a lot on the dark side of this book, but there is so much hope and friendship and relationship and resilience all packed within incredible writing. Mongrel by Hanako Footman. The author wrote family relations and dynamics really well here. This book just felt like one big if only, and it was really heartbreaking to see it could never be. And lastly, Even If This Love Disappears Tonight by Misaki Ichijo. I had a feeling I would be sad with this book, but I did not expect to cry. And the last question is, a book that you wish you could read again for the first time. And of course, as mentioned, A Little Life, but also Old Soul by Susan Barker. Old Soul was imaginative with excellent writing and storytelling, detailing one man's quest to bring a decades-long devastation to an end. It's eerie and atmospheric, but don't go into it thinking it's a horror or thriller book. Susan Barker is a new author I discovered last year, and shortly after Old Soul, I read The Incarnations, which was just as fantastic, so I look forward to her future work. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching and allowing me to introduce myself. I hope to see you around again soon, and take care of yourselves. Bye!